In Toronto. Looks like the dead of winter. A lot of winter up there in the six. Philadelphia, Toronto set to get the second round of the playoffs started this evening. You can see that game on TNT at 7:30. Joel Embiid averaged 26 points, almost 12 rebounds a game against the Raptors during the regular season. Let's welcome in Greg Anthony, our analyst for tonight's TNT game. Okay, so GA, Joel said that he's expected to play more minutes after just playing 24 in round one. What's the latest on his situation?
All systems go. Just spoke with Brett Brown a little bit ago. And, remember that series, there were two games that were pretty close. But for the most part, the Sixers in the games he played were able to take care of business. And that also had, I think, an impact on the amount of minutes. But I do think in order for them to win this series, have any chance to win it, he's going to have to play a tremendous role. I think you'll see his minutes up around that 32 to 34 range. Now, keep in mind also, you're not playing back-to-backs. There's going to be more opportunity to rest within the series, which I think helps him and obviously helps the Sixers as well.
Hey, GA, Caron Butler here. Is there a key matchup in this series that can really swing it for anyone? Like I know you got one in mind. I know we think alike in this space. So who you got?
Well, I'm gonna give you this one. The biggest matchup for me is Brett Brown and Nick Nurse. I really feel like that is going to determine the winner of this series. Who makes the best adjustments game to game? Who has the best game plan? Who has a sense of what they need to do in that moment? I think the coaching in this series, more so than any other in some respects, is going to determine who wins it because of all the things that have happened over the course of this season. You look at these two teams, they are wholly different from where they were at the start of the new year, because of the trade deadline acquisitions that were made, the impact that those guys are having, how it's changed their rotation. So for me, Nick Nurse and Brett Brown, man, I think those two guys and their staffs are going to have far more impact on a series than you would ordinarily have just because of the circumstance.
Hey, GA, Billy King here. Looking at it, did Brett Brown talk about turnovers? They averaged 22.5 this year against Toronto. Ben Simmons, I think, in game one of their game earlier this year had 11. Another game he had 7. So did they talk about turnovers and trying to limit them?
Absolutely. And you know what, Billy? I asked him the two biggest concerns coming in. He said our defensive transition, one, and turnovers. Remember, Toronto is number one in the league at points off turnovers. They are the best. When you look at how long and athletic, when you get Siakam and Kawhi Leonard, those guys also lead the league in deflections. So if they're able to disrupt your rhythm and get out in the open floor, you are in for a long night. Ben Simmons averaged 8 turnovers a game during the regular season against this Toronto team. So he's going to have to be much more sure with the basketball. And I go back to last season. Philadelphia won a first-round series. They played against a Boston team that was just more physical. Well, guess what? Toronto is a similar type of team. They're a very physical team. They're not going to be switching a lot. They like to keep bodies on bodies. And so let's see how much growth has Philly had from a season ago, because they're going to have a similar dynamic that they face with the Raptors.
GA, you mentioned that growth. A guy to pay attention to, Joel Embiid again, has struggled against Marc Gasol, averaging 14 points over 4 turnovers, shooting 34% from the floor in those head-to-head matchups against Gasol. I mean, they haven't met since Gasol got traded to the Raptors as far as Gasol and Embiid head-to-head, because he sat out that first matchup. But what do you make of that? Why does Embiid struggle against Gasol so much?
Well, first of all, Marc Gasol is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Marc Gasol has been Defensive Player of the Year in our league, and it was a part of those grit and grind teams that were a defensive-oriented bunch. So he's a terrific defender, and I think some of that also goes on Embiid, in that sometimes, and Billy and Tough Juice will tell you, sometimes Joel will fall in love with jump shots and not get 2 feet in the paint. And I think if he settles at all, that's a win for Marc Gasol. I do expect Joel to be better in this series, but it's not going to be easy. It's not just going to be Gasol. Remember, he's going to be matched up with Ibaka a lot in this series, and because both guys play differently, it actually creates a challenge for for Joel, because he doesn't get that consistent rhythm. You're going to be defended a lot differently when Ibaka's on you as opposed to Marc Gasol. But listen, Joel Embiid is as dominant a guy as we have in our league. He's gaining experience, and I think he's going to learn from what happened over the course of the regular season with Marc Gasol and what happened to him last season in the postseason against Al Horford.
Hey, GA, one more thing. Congratulations to you and the family, Cole, Anthony.
Yeah.
Hey.
What?
Why we got to go there?
Appreciate that.
Hey, we're friends. We're almost like family here.
Okay.
We got to say congratulations to GA, you know?
I'm happy
Yeah,
you're
we
Tar
kept it
Heel.
in the ACC.
Okay,
Billy,
all
we
right,
kept it in
okay.
the ACC. And, hey, I got to give a shout out to my man Tough Juice, man. The Juice Buds, man.
Come on, man.
My
You know I
family
had to
loves
take
it.
care of you,
On the
brother.
real, man. We've been killing those, man.
I got to keep the packages
continue
covered. I got you.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Love it.
All right, GA, looking forward to seeing you on the broadcast. Thank you, my friend.
You got it, guys.
So in 3 head-to-head matchups with Kawhi Leonard, Ben Simmons averaging 8 turnovers a game. Let's say that again. 8 turnovers per game. Billy, what do you make of that?
Well, a lot of it is Ben is not looking to the basket when he's penetrating. He'll start driving the basketball, and he's not looking at the basket. You see on this dribble, he's going, pushing it, but he's not even looking at the rim. And there you're all, like you talked about long arms. GA talked about long arms. They're there deflecting the basketball. When he penetrates, you'll see him. He's going to go in the post here. He's going to catch it in a great position. Just shoot a baby hook right here. He's not even looking at the basket. There's 3 defenders. He's trying to make a pass to Dario.
Yeah.
It's a turnover. You've got to look at the basket, try to put pressure, scoring the basketball rather than always looking to make passes right here on the out of bounds. You've got a ball fake if you're taking the ball out of bounds. They're playing you for the pass. And on this one, you can't be trying to go behind your back against Toronto. Kawhi and those guys are too good. They're going to be all over the floor. Ben's got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. If he's the point guard and you're giving up 8 turnovers a game, that's 8 possessions you don't have. In the playoffs, you can't afford to give up 8 possessions like that.
I feel like nobody's mastered the art of KYP better than Kawhi Leonard. And look.
He was all over that.
Yeah, all over that. And look, he knows his personnel extremely well. So when you have a guy like Ben Simmons that you know not going to shoot the ball, and you can play and pack the paint as much as possible, therefore he's going to be a liability out there. So you have to be a threat. You got to look at the basket. You have to be okay with missing the shot and the opportunity. Otherwise, it's going to amount to a turnover and end up in transition for the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard averaged 4 steals a game in this series. So certainly the stats back up how incredible he's been on defense.
You know, the difference between him and Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, is when he's going to dunk and try to finish when he's going to hold. Ben's always going to pass the basketball. If he wants to be successful in Kawhi, he's got to look to score. You're 6'9", try to dunk, try to get fouls, and then those passes will open up because everybody's playing him for the pass first, shot second.
A guy who definitely is looking to score when he gets the ball anywhere near the basket, LaMarcus Aldridge for those San Antonio Spurs. Slow and steady, winning the race. Will he be the key to a Spurs winning Game 7 tonight? We examine that and more next on Game Time. Time for round 2 of the playoffs. Joel Embiid rocking the red, averaged 25 points per game in round 1 versus Brooklyn in just 24 minutes a game.
Thriller night.
And Kawhi Leonard averaged 30 points per game versus Philly this season. That tips off in less than an hour. Sixers and Raptors. Pepsi Center in Denver. That's the location for Game 7 between the Nuggets and the Spurs. The only first-round series still being played. Welcome to Game Time Live, presented by State Farm. Chris Miles here with Billy King and Karan Butler. It's a doubleheader tonight. The second round in the Eastern Conference starts with Game 1 between the Raptors and 76ers at 7:30 on TNT. The second game of tonight's doubleheader, like we said, a Game 7 between the Nuggets and the Spurs. The Nuggets had the best home record in the NBA this season. In your Game 7 experience, does that put more pressure on the Nuggets, the second seed, the home team against the Spurs?
Look, I always think that they put more pressure on the home team, because you have a lot of expectations. And when you come into that space, I recall me playing with the Los Angeles Clippers, and we went to the Memphis Grizzlies, and it was a Game 7, and we knew that they had a amount of pressure on their shoulders that they just couldn't handle. Every basket, every opportunity, the runs that we had, it just felt like an explosion on their end, and they wasn't able to recover. And then you have the crowd echoing, this, what are you doing? Or what's that? And that ball gets real heavy, man. It's kind of like Philly, right? So like everybody just displaying their emotion, and it puts you in an awkward situation where, look, man, it can be tough to play at home.
Yeah, you know, I was involved in Game 7 as a coach, assistant to Indiana Pacers. We played the Knicks at Game 7 at the Garden. Patrick hit the follow-up tip in. We lose that one. Then the next year,
remember that one.
And you do remember the next year, Game 7, second round, playing the Knicks at the Garden. We win that one. So it can go either way. And then we played Shaq in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, lose that one at home. Then as Brooklyn as a GM, we had a Game 7. So it's a lot of Game 7s. And I think Toronto, you know, we played them when I was in Philadelphia as a GM, had a Game 7 at home. Vince misses a shot, we win. Play Milwaukee in the conference final, Big Dog misses a shot, we win. So there's a lot of pressure, but I think more of the pressure is on the home team because the expectation is to win. They throw all these stats that you're supposed to win. So I like being a visitor because you have nothing to lose. You're not supposed to win the game.
Well, if you're the Denver Nuggets and you look at what the Joker did in Game 6, you would think that you came out of that one with a victory on Thursday night. Jokic was aggressive, taking 30 shots. It resulted in a magnificent stat line, 43 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. Still, it's the Spurs that came out on top with a 17-point win, which brings us to DeMar DeRozan and the Spurs starters as a whole. DeRozan missed a total of 4 shots while scoring 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He spearheaded a Spurs offense that was lights out. 8 of 9 players shot over 50% from the floor. That includes all 5 starters. San Antonio bench outscores Denver's bench 36-13. Here is DeMar DeRozan looking back at his first Game 7 experience.
First Game 7 was against, I think, Brooklyn, against nothing but veterans. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson. It was probably one of the most intense, series I ever played in. Everybody know KG, how crazy he is. So that whole energy and that whole atmosphere for my first go-round was definitely one of the greatest learning experiences. For me, just that toughness is understanding how hard it is to win that last game.
We are playing at home. That's maybe a little good thing for us. I mean, we need to go there and give our best. Just go out there and work and punch people, playing physical, setting screen, whatever you need to do just to get the win.
Man, go out there and play. Don't think too much like it's a Game 7, but play like we played last game. Play like you want to continue to keep this thing going.
Well, we know the Spurs' pedigree under Greg Popovich. 22 straight years in the playoffs. Their last Game 7 was a loss in a thriller versus the Lob City Clippers in the 2015 first round. Tim Duncan had 27 for the defending champs, but in the end, it was Chris Paul's pull-up jumper that was the difference, handing the Spurs their only 7-game first-round series loss in the Pop era. For the Nuggets, the last Game 7 was in the 2012 first round. Ty Lawson and company were hanging with the Lakers and Staples under Kobe Bryant hit his fadeaway dagger to put Denver away. Lakers won 96-87 and advanced to the conference semis. Well, the Spurs looking to avoid being eliminated in the first round of consecutive years for the first time in the Coach Pop era. Karan, how crucial is DeMar DeRozan playing the way he is right now, looking confident, and them coming out a winner tonight?
Look, I think they're big three with their seasoned veteran guys when you talk about LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay. And obviously DeMar DeRozan are crucial, but DeMar DeRozan is the guy that has to spearhead this charge. And I think you're going to see him, try to do a lot of what you're seeing on this film right here. Get into his sweet spot. He's the mid-range assassin. He recognizes when the double team is coming, when the switch is happening. Look at Joker. Look, there's nothing you can do with that. Will Barton not going to really guard or contest that situation, foul in one. He had enough battle-tested games where he's ready for these moments. Look, pushing the length of the floor, recognizing, look, I got a mismatch here, get through, clear out, got a little contact, finish on that play. His sense of urgency is just so much different.
It's the masters of the mid-range.
Yeah, come on, man. Look, 75%, 12 for 16 overall in the mid-range space. And look, he's not just doing it on one side. He's doing it pretty much all over the place. So he's a tough cover, man. He's bringing the mid-range game back, and I love what he's doing.
Well, I look at it as I love Greg Popovich because he changes his style for the personnel. Some coaches don't change their style. They want guys just to be able to shoot threes, and they won't play if they can't. Pop got DeRozan. He's a mid-range guy, so he plays that way. he's not going to take something to make him do something he's not used to doing. So I love the fact that he's playing the range. And the one thing is he'll get to the free throw line, get and one, so he'll get those 3 points that way. But they're playing basketball with what they have to win.
Now, for the Nuggets, look, they're looking to advance to the second round for the first time since 2009. Again, if you look at Game 6, you see what Jokic did, you would think, oh, they should have won that one. Why wasn't that the difference?
Well, the one thing, he didn't get to the free throw line. I think he shot maybe 4 or 5 free throws at those 43 points. So it's great to get 43 points, but you got to put pressure, get free throw. In the playoffs, you want to get guys in foul trouble. You don't want to be playing against the top line off defense. And so 43 points is great, but I want to see the big fella with that body get some free throws. You know, don't just stand out to shoot threes, avoid contact. He's got to get fouled and get some of those other guys on the bench. Get LaMarcus Aldridge on the bench so he's not playing against those top starters all the way.
Ron, when I look at Jamal Murray and what he's done in this series, in wins, he's been incredible, shooting over 50% from the floor. In losses, you see the percentage and you see the points. What's been the difference with him in those wins and those losses?
Look, I think his activity. I think he has to really exert himself offensively early in these ball games. When you come out, especially at home, you know, get some type of confidence going, get something close to the basket. You know, everybody's searching for the long balls. You see him shooting it right there. But, you know, if you're able to get involved and they play a reaction style offense, and look, there you go, see a backdoor cut right there. So if his activity is high and he's assisting the basketball, being a facilitator, being aggressive on the scoring end, they're going to trend in the right direction and have a realistic shot at winning this Game 7.
A big man having his team trending in the right direction. Sound like you're talking about those Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid will play tonight, and his minutes are allegedly up. We head out to Toronto next for a preview of Game 1. You're watching Game Time Live.
Better play with that red jacket.